Hey everyone, you're listening to Hocked Unloaded with writer-director Steve Drake and producer Rachel Franz. This is the podcast where we tell you about how we made our first feature film, Hocked. Each week, we'll bring on a new guest and they'll share their experience of what it was like making this film. In this episode of the podcast, we've got Theron in our quote-unquote studio. He's no pawn shop prodigy, but rather a pawn shop extraordinaire. Like many of the folks involved in Hocked, he had more than one job. He lent us his store to film in, laid down some drums for a scene, and even robbed his own store. We hope you enjoy it. Theron, thanks for being here. Let's talk Hocked.
Thanks for having me. This is a cool little studio, guys.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
There's no foam. We're not soundproofing anything.
No.
The chairs all squeak.
We don't have young Jamie in the corner
Yeah.
Googling things for us. But we will survive. We will push on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we will talk Hocked with the Theron.
And I need to ask you, how do you pronounce your last name?
Fountaine.
Fountaine.
Like an American.
I'm an asshole, and I've been pronouncing Rich's last name wrong for the last year, and he didn't tell me until we were doing a podcast, and I said it wrong, and he was like, "Oh, by the way, that's not how you say my name." I was like, "Fuck."
I would say
Oops.
Theron Fountaine is probably one of the most mispronounced names ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no one gets it right.
On the first try.
No.
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 I believe it.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
The beginning. Do you remember when I first brought up making a movie? Because I do not.
That's an excellent question. I don't know that I do either. No.
No?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
It was...
My pawn shop of choice used to be the Mendenhall store because I knew everybody. And now that store is gone, I didn't know what to do. I was adrift at sea, looking for a new home.
I actually, now that you think of it, I remember hearing you were making a movie and it wasn't from you.
Really?
Yeah, I think it might have been from your grandpa.
No way.
Maybe, yeah, but I knew for one reason or another that you guys were utilizing that store to shoot a movie.
Yeah.
But I had no idea really what it was about. I had no idea at all.
That's funny because I think my grandpa is a little more excited about this than he lets on. And I was so incredibly concerned about how he was going to take this movie. And that's kind of good to know.
He should be
post fact.
He should be a world champion poker player. Because,
oh my goodness.
Because you don't know what he's thinking.
No.
Yeah.
Never ever.
Yeah.
And no, that's.
But he will
funny.
surprise you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's a good-hearted dude, and yeah, I like that guy a lot. And I do think he did like the movie. So.
Oh, he
that's
liked
good.
it.
That's good.
Absolutely.
He looked very happy at the premiere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that if one more person came through the doors of the Ellen, that you were going to go into the bathroom and start doing blow like a proper director.
Yes.
I mean, that place was so packed. You guys absolutely outdid yourselves. It was insane.
Well, no, I would have went into the bathroom if no one showed up, and I would have just cried.
Yeah.
You know.
He tried to hide backstage when it first started. He just stood in the wings.
I did.
When it first started, and I just sat there and I watched for him to come out, because if he had stayed in there any longer, I was going to go get him.
Well, I had left my beer back there, and so I went to go get it. And then while I was back there, I was like, maybe I'll just stay back here, and I just will watch from the side, because I didn't know. And if somebody was going to like throw tomatoes at me, I would be hidden back there. They couldn't find me. It was a safe place.
Yeah. I got real drunk that night and talked to your grandpa, and I don't entirely remember what I said to him, so I hope I didn't make an asshole of myself. But he said to me, he's like, now I see why you guys helped me tear out all that carpet. I was like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
it's okay, Gary. We didn't actually, but I was like, we would have helped you anyway. It was awkward. And I probably owe Theron's wife an apology, because I think I hit on her quite a bit.
You are an incredibly fun drunk. And I just
I'm
remember...
annoying as fuck.
I think midnight came around, and that was when you were talking to me and Devin Moore, and it was... We kind of had to leave, but
Sorry.
I would have liked to have seen that through.
No.
Yeah. And you too. You were like glossy-eyed when I left, bro.
Boy.
Steve was hammered before we even got to the theater.
I don't remember the middle of the film.
Yeah.
I took a lap because I knew I was about to like blow chunks.
Yeah.
So I took a lap, and then I came back, and they cut me off, obviously.
Yeah.
And I ran out of my flask
feel-
and my backup flask. Oh. Yeah.
We were here pounding banquets before we went over to the theater too.
I was concerned that what I was saying during the Q&A was like a different language. I was seriously concerned
in
while we were up
moments.
there.
I think it might have been. You
Could've
just
been.
kept like smiling, and you would just keep saying essentially nothing. And so at one point, Jalen and I looked at each other like, "Okay, we should start taking more of these questions."
Yeah, I've never had to sit in front of a crowd like that and answer questions. I think that would be rough.
It was scary, but again, I wasn't really even there. So
Yeah.
So how long have you worked in the pawn shop?
7 years.
Okay. Can you give us some of like the weirdest items or like crazy stories you've got from your pawn shop days?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like the really weird ones usually come to me after the fact. I've got
There's
a couple
so
like
many.
go-tos, you know.
yeah.
But I mean, I think you're dealing with people that you're just dealing with all walks of life, and so you just see this insane dynamic of people. Yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure I had a dude that was tripping balls on something. He tried to borrow some money on a box of cereal, like straight up.
Yes, I've had this same guy.
It must have been the same day.
It had to be.
Yeah.
And Steven did not believe me
I didn't.
until
Yeah.
we were talking to you about all of our pawn shop stories, and you validated me. So thank you,
Yeah,
Theron.
absolutely. And I don't know, like I've had Roosevelt. I think Teddy Roosevelt was like the famous hunter president. He was like notorious for hunting, and he wrote, I think, some books on hunting and things like that. He was an author, and I had a customer come in and pawn a bunch of books that were written by Teddy Roosevelt and signed by Teddy Roosevelt with
What?
customized messages in the books. So it's interesting.
You never know.
You don't know. Like
never know
literally,
what's
like
coming through.
one dude can be pawning an RC car, and the next guy behind him has a 1 in a million thing
Piece
that
of
he
history.
dug out. Yeah, a piece of history.
Belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about? Because I feel like nobody knows, and we kind of talked about this yesterday at the shop. Nobody really understands the term pawning and like pawn shops, and it has such a terrible stigma.
It does.
does.
Like I want to know your take on just how much good a pawn shop could do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mean to be cliche here, but it like really is quite literally one of the oldest professions in it since mankind. I mean, it's like I have this sharp stick and you have this sharp rock. I'm gonna give you my sharp rock while I borrow your sharp stick.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
pawn made.
And I'll give you a piece of meat once I kill this thing with my sharp rock.
Yeah, exactly. And so in a way, it's kind of people helping people. So, I give people money, and either they're come up short for the month. There's all different reasons. People want to buy a brand new car. Whatever. I give them something, they go do what they want to do with it, and they give me a little bit of money back on top, and down the road everybody goes. So, I mean, I think that pawn shops exist because there's a void or a role that they naturally have for people, and so I think that we absolutely help the world go around. I mean, it's I think it does a lot of good.
Yeah.
I know it does a lot of good.
And do you think this is weird, but do you think that the storyline of Hocked is plausible?
Oh yeah.
Like it could really happen. It could have happened to you.
Oh, absolutely.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind. I mean, I think as far as I know, I have yet to run across a female supervillain. But
If you did, you'd never know. Theron.
yeah, you'd never. I think, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I know for a fact I've interacted with MS-13 guys. I know for a fact that I've interacted with hardcore Nazis.
Right.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
so, and I think that, yeah, something like, you know, me winding up with something that somebody else wants bad enough to kill somebody over is absolutely plausible.
Yeah.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
See, I never felt like that too much in the, like, when I was writing Hocked, I felt like the part that that was closest to reality, other than the goofy stuff, was like the detectives. Like the fact that there could be detectives who were just nasty folks. Like that made a lot of sense to me, but the bad guys, the goons, the thugs, that whole world, that wasn't nearly as close. And I wanted to know how that bounced off you, because I think you've been around the block a little bit more than I have.
Well, I mean, all right. So a quick Google. I mean, I don't have enough information really, but like surely there's been a museum somewhere where something that's absolutely priceless has been stolen. A diamond or a painting or something, black market shit, right? One of a kind. That could walk through my pawn shop doors.
Right.
Period. End of story. And you know, so yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and that's something you think about too as a pawnbroker. You're sitting behind the counter. It's like, okay, I'm looking at a diamond here that's a 10-carat diamond. What is this person doing with it? Why does this person have it?
Why did they pull it out of their sweatshirt?
Yeah,
Or
you
their
know.
sweatshirt pocket.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, this thing's worth $10 million, and I just made a $3,000 offer, and they're taking it. So then all of a sudden it's like, who's going to show up looking for this diamond? And now, in my case, the people that show up looking for things are the cops usually for, like, stolen stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there could absolutely be a dude in a trench coat with a machine gun under there walking up saying, hey, has anybody come in and sold you a really big diamond lately?
Mm-hmm.
That happened to Steve's mom. That's how she got her diamond for her wedding ring with Dave, right? I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, this fucking tweaker came in, had this big-ass
Just a loose
diamond,
diamond.
and Corey, like, lowballed the hell out of her, and she went for it, and luckily for Corey, nobody ever came a-knocking, but...
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to be like, well, I lost a diamond. Well, can you describe it? Do you have a serial number? Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you
And,
just don't.
You know, Steve, with dealing with, like, the detectives being more realistic for him is because, like, he got accused by a detective of, like, running some type of fucking pawn shop scheme.
Oh, yeah. They thought I was
So-
running shit for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he was accused of having a friend that would steal shit, and Steve would move it.
Oh, perfect.
Good stuff.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I could see how you could get in the crosshairs of a law enforcement officer, you know, especially if they share the same reputation. Now, most officers, I think, in our area realize that, you know, we're actually insanely helpful when it comes to getting stolen goods back. But
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
If there were no pawn shops, I don't know how people would go about finding anything that was actually stolen.
right.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, Rachel, you asked me some of the interesting things that come in, and I told you after the fact I usually think of things. One of the things that's pretty interesting is I had a father come in and sell me the handgun that his son killed himself with.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah. That actually happened. It was in evidence.
Yikes.
It got taken out of evidence. He sold it to me. He told me the story, and I ended up cleaning the rest of the blood off of it. I also
my
know the
God.
coroner that was responsible for checking this whole thing out, so I know how he killed himself. There was the particular kind of bullets that were in the magazine, so I know exactly what he used to kill himself with and how. So, yeah. You
That's fucked up.
You
you
look
know.
at that last bullet at the top of that magazine.
That's right.
And thinking about, like, it was right up against the bullet
Yep.
that did the job.
Yep.
That's some dark, spooky stuff.
I've had
Yeah,
that.
it
that
is.
you have to hold in your hand.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so then it's like, okay, so I bought this from this person, and then now I'm trying to sort of process this whole thing. And on one hand, I was like, you know, thinking about, well, maybe I need to take this home because, you know, maybe this thing's got bad juju. Maybe I don't want to put it back out into the world. But as I was cleaning it up, you know, I'm like, you know, this thing, all right, it's an inanimate object, but I have an emotional connection with it now,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So I'm cleaning it up and I'm doing everything, and I'm like, I just need to find this thing a good home.
Yeah.
You know, and there's sort of this realization that it's going to go into somebody else's safe, and they're gonna dig it and they're gonna shoot it, and it's never gonna hurt anybody else ever again, and it doesn't really matter what it has been through. And I think I don't know. There's just some interesting stuff there to unpack.
Because you could go two routes, right? You could not tell anybody. You put it out on the shelf, and it's like ignorance is bliss, right? Somebody picks it up, it's just another 45 or whatever it was, and then it becomes just another handgun. It might go into a safe. It might be on a hip holster.
Yeah.
You don't know, and they have no clue.
Yeah, I wound up selling it to somebody who did know,
Mm-hmm.
who bought it for the story, but not on a morbid sense. And in a way, if you think about it, I mean, this guy, it's almost a piece of history now. It's one that we're all going to forget about, but that kid kind of lives on a little bit, you know, through that story. And I think the person that bought it is going to kind of treat that story with respect and, you know, understands the weight that it carries. So
Yeah. It wasn't like a weird voodoo purchase.
I think this is probably where you enter in the suicide awareness hotline.
Yeah.
Probably should.
Yeah, there's help out there, you guys.
No
Definitely.
kidding. Yeah. Well, and there's pretty heavy themes in Hocked. You know, Lanny
Suicide
obviously
being in there.
offs himself in the film, and I don't know if the film can do any good in that facet of life, but that's a rough topic to try to cover.
It is.
And I wouldn't even know where to begin. 'Cause
well,
it
I
hasn't
think
affected me.
There's one really important thing to know, I think, about suicide, which is there's a lot of important things, and I'm not an expert, but you know, I've definitely had some really low points in my life, and it's a matter of hope. So humans will reach this brief moment of complete hopelessness, and in that moment they want to kill themselves. But if they can get out of that just for the briefest amount of time and have just the slightest glimmer of hope, then they no longer want to kill themselves.
It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
That's absolutely right. And so I think the big thing is, you know, for, you know, people that are, you know, just in a really rough patch in their life, is realizing that there is some hope out there, and also really trying hard to seek out people that can help you to, you know, get that hope back in your heart. And, you know, yeah, so that's...
It's always a weird thing to be brought up for me because Cam's uncle committed suicide a few years ago, and I don't know, I never really know how to talk about it, or if his family even wants me to talk about it. I'm not sure, but his Cam and his mom are both very outspoken about supporting suicide awareness, and they always donate to it every year, and they do the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's walks and stuff like that. But his grandma came to the premiere, and I had to warn her a bit because his uncle committed suicide with a gun, and she's the one that found him.
Mm-hmm.
So when Laney commits suicide, it was one of those things where I told her, I was like, hey, this is going to happen. I won't be offended if you need to get up and go away, and if you see this start to happen, you should get up and go to the bathroom if you need to. And she told me that she sat through it. She said she just closed her eyes.
What a feat of strength and
I know.
support.
I could not
Yeah.
believe that she did that. Because,
Seriously.
I mean, the stuff that woman has gone through and experienced, like, I couldn't believe it. She sat through it, and she said, I didn't watch, I closed my eyes, but, like, just hearing it, I think, would be hard if
Oh,
I
yeah.
was
Oh
her.
yeah. No, I've known Cam for a long time, and I've known his good old grandma
Yeah.
for a real long time, and she is a tough lady.
Yeah.
I don't know, she didn't know how to handle me as a young child.
No,
Like,
she
she
did
put me in
not.
my place so many times, and
Yeah.
she is strong.
Well, and
I think finding that strength is important. And
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
you know, yeah, I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, and there are, you know, from that, you know, handgun suicide scenario, there are instances where, you know, the pawn shop has absolutely helped turn somebody's life around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I still remember all of, like, the customers that would come in and, you know, that I liked, that they were, like, genuinely good people.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lady that would come in all the time, and pawn a police positive revolver, and I loved her. And she always had a little girl with her, and it was just, I kept trying to buy that gun from her because I just wanted it for myself, and she would never sell it. And they were really genuinely good people. A lot of students would come into our store all the time and just need to make money to pay their student loans or, buy some books for the semester. And I don't know. I liked it. And even some of the weird people we met, I'm like, I still like you.
I'm not kidding. Beer Can Bob,
Yes.
the real Bob, I have had countless hours of conversation with that guy. And it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't working the counter. And, it's just one of those little interactions where you would walk by that guy in the street and just think he's like this bum loser. Not anymore. He's actually turned everything around. So good for you, Bob. But, I mean, back in the day, like you'd think nothing of that guy. But everybody's got some sort of cool perspective and story. If you can just kind of crack into it a little bit, you might learn something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what, where Hocked was born. It was like, okay, let's crack into this story that I don't think's really been told, or there's this like weird stigma to it, and let's have the pawnbroker maybe be the good guy, and the underdogs in the scenario definitely pull through for Hocked.
Well, and the guy that was Cowboy in the movie, he's got kids. Like there were days where he would just come in, and I mean he always had some crazy reason for being there, but he would just like start to tell me about his life, and I'm always curious, like, well, how the fuck did you end up like this, man? I don't know.
Yeah, the pawn shop's kind of like a barbershop in that respect,
Yeah.
You
Or a
just
bar.
Very personalized.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, because a lot of times, we're
People
the
come
last
in
stop.
and
That's right.
tell you about their problems and what's going on in their life, and you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah, a good pawnbroker is a part-time therapist.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, an unpaid therapist.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, just to steer kind of back towards the movie again, like, what was it like to, and did you, so you rob your own store, and we were just like, I remember like, I really wanted, and I thought you might be excited about it, but I didn't want to just like keep asking you for things, because you came in clutch, the store was
A lot of
closed,
things.
and we're just like, hey, Theron,
Yeah.
can we crash your party here and, film some stuff? And we came in, I don't know, 3 or 4 times probably just to film, some extra stuff. And we filmed the entire retro commercial in your store. And thank you, by the way,
You
for
bet.
doing all
Yes.
that.
That
That
was
was
fun.
tons of fun. But I think the last thing I asked you was like, hey, man, I'm out of people who could rob this store. Could you rob me? What was your thought going into that? And was it fun? And
Oh man, I was just so happy to be involved. Yeah, man, I thought what you guys were doing was cool. Obviously, I'm into art. I'm into doing things. I just was excited to be involved, and yeah, it was just awesome. Every time you guys came around, I got to talk to you guys more. I got to hear about the project and liked you guys more and more and more. And then the notion that I might be, play a role for you guys was just, I don't know, it's interesting. It still is interesting. It's
because you had to be this, unfortunately, robber guy doesn't have a lot of like character development.
Nope, not a
but
ton.
you did have to do a little bit
Yeah.
to be that guy,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not out there robbing stores, but like, what'd you do?
He's like actually the sweetest person
With-
that's ever
Yeah,
existed.
no
Oh,
kidding.
thank you.
What did you have to do to get yourself just in that mindset for that scene where? Because I know we had talked previous, and you're kind of like, well, can I swear? Can I kind of rough you up a little bit? I'm like, dude, you do whatever you need to do to be that guy in that moment.
Yeah.
So take me through that process.
Well, being the amateur that I am, I there was not a lot of method to my madness.
Right.
But I like the idea of method acting
Okay.
a lot. And so I didn't have like a lot of time to really get into it. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot to chew on there. It was like, you guys showed up, we're filming, it's time to do this.
We have a habit of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've heard that.
No,
Sorry to everyone.
Yeah. And but it also challenges you, right? And I mean, literally, I've never done something for the first time that goes very well, but I feel like this went pretty well, and I just had to dive into it and go for it. But what I was kind of thinking is, because I do have to worry about security somewhat at my pawn shop, I wear a bulletproof vest, I carry a gun, and I have ran through some scenario stuff. If I got robbed, and I've done quite a bit of training with firearms and things like that. So, for me, I just wanted to get aggressive. I just I wanted to be like that guy that was like, just had no consideration for the well-being of other people.
Okay.
Or even myself, I guess, because psychos are like that. And so I guess, that was part of it. So when I was just kind of getting into it, it was like, I just need to behave like a complete Neanderthal and rough you up a bit.
Good. Well, so the reason I ask is I've noticed, everyone we used had no acting experience for the most part. And a trend I saw when we were just get started filming with them was it took a little while to like shake off the goofiness that is a normal person trying to be another person for a film.
Yeah.
Like even I saw it myself. Like when we first filmed, it was like I had in my character is the worst because it's basically me, but I did have to
It's the
be
pussy version of
this
Steve.
other
Right.
version of me who's kind of a pussy and kind of like, oh, nothing matters. I have no effort.
The Eeyore of Steve's.
I was the Eeyore of me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a while to not like go back to the I think one of my mechanisms for defense is just like to joke. Just make a joke, be sarcastic, be funny, whatever, just do something. And so to shake that off and just bump right into it and like leave yourself exposed to looking maybe like a fool is that I think that's a very interesting concept for people who might be listening or future filmmakers who only have access to what we had access to. So I think that's super super beneficial to know that, and I think you were one of the better ones where it wasn't like you didn't stop and you're just
Right.
like, no, that, like break. You didn't break. You were there. You were smacking yourself in the face.
Yep.
He broke
I
his
love
watch.
that shit.
I broke my
You
watch.
broke your watch,
I almost
dude.
broke Rachel's back.
Yeah.
I
Like you were
ran
just,
her over.
how did you just like jump right into that?
Well, so I don't think so. You're not gonna, at least from my perspective, you're not gonna walk onto a set like that and be a prideful person and be like I don't know, prideful may not be the right word, but if you think too highly of yourself, you're not gonna be able to get into it. Like you've got to just realize that there's a great chance that you're gonna make an ass out of yourself. You've got to let that go and just kind of go for it. That's for me. It was like I'm gonna look stupid, and it helped that I had a mask on. That was part of the I requested a mask.
That was kind of part of the deal, but it
It
did
wa-
make sense.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, it did make sense, and I mean, it sort of allows you to be behind a mask and just kind of let it all go. I think in the future it would be easier for me to get back into it, but you got to lose the pride, man.
Yeah. Well, I
I
think
think.
that's
So
a
this
great part of or
is-
piece of advice.
Is acting something you'd like to do more of?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm not I'm not it's not like I have all these parts coming at me that I can pick and choose from.
Well, I think I've got something that I've kind of been thinking about for a while for you, so
Perfect.
it'll be way in the future, but
I am interested in characters.
yeah.
I really am, and I think so. In that respect, am I interested in acting? Yeah, but I'm interested in getting behind the psychology of a character. Yeah.
It's already been said on the podcast multiple times that Jalen and I are going to work on getting a backstory written for Jay, and I think I want you to be her dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think he's going to have a pretty dark story. I think he's going to have a pretty, like, almost sad and slightly pathetic story, but I think it's going to be important.
And you come right to
No,
mind.
dude,
when
I'm
we
in.
think
I'm
sad,
in,
pathetic.
though.
No,
I'm
just
in,
kidding.
yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, Steve told
Yeah.
me that, like, you had mentioned to him that you would be interested in, like, exploring a darker side of you
Yes.
and being a bad guy. And
Absolutely.
I think that Jay's dad wouldn't necessarily be a bad guy, but he makes bad choices.
Yeah.
So
I've made plenty of them. I'm into it. Absolutely.
Cool.
Love that idea.
No, it's just I think we all kind of play characters depending on who we're around and what we're doing. So I think anyone can be an actor as long as you just have that mindset that you're talking about. Like if you can just strip it down, get that ego out of there, and you can just go for it, you can really find talent in anyone who has that talent, they can strip it down. So
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things that I question whether or not I really have, and it maybe is something you can develop, but you guys know how, like, when you meet somebody, it's like you are a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are very unique.
Yeah.
It may be in the sound of your voice. It may be in the way that you look, the way that you carry yourself.
It's just like answering the phone. It's like my customer service voice,
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
anytime somebody came into the pawn shop, depending on who it was, I was like, all right. Like, there's a specific guy that would come in all the time that I knew in my head. I was like, all right, I got to be, like, one of the boys for this
I know
guy.
exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking
you
about.
both do.
Yeah.
You got to be one of the boys to deal with this person. And, you got to be uber Republican and very outspoken about certain things and just be able to listen to him talk forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you do. You have to put on, like, a different version of yourself depending on who you're interacting with.
That's interesting to talk about. I noticed it with myself, and this project it involved so many people that had seen so many of these different characters that I might play in roles, and they all came together. It was strange and almost nice to find maybe who I might think I really am by having so many people in a room that may have seen these different things that I tried to portray. Mm-hmm. I think creative processes help you find that anyway, and this one might have been like an accelerated special event that just so happened where all these different people came in, and that's definitely off topic. But
Well, it's interesting because you can, and I picking up what you're putting down. I mean, you can get something out of it, for yourself. You actually take it home, and that's pretty cool too.
I just think exploring any creative process is important, and this was just lucky that it all came together like it did. But
we need to expand Rachel's acting career.
Oh,
I think that's an untapped
I
resource.
don't know about that.
we were saying that yesterday with
Jalen
Jalen.
brought that up.
Yeah,
I've never tried. I bought DVDs in the movie.
yeah. You
just-
have an acting credit.
You know what I could
And I guess I was the dispatcher.
imagine
True.
her. Imagine her in like a Frank Sinatra, old school, like red and white polka dotted dress with high heels and
Like a
lipstick,
pinup girl?
singing to an audience. I don't know. Rachel's got that kind of grisly voice. You know what I mean?
Not what I sing.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard you sing, but
Oh, it would burst eardrums. It's not good. I don't know. I think I have a more masculine than feminine voice in my
but
opinion.
you weren't listening to Theron's advice earlier. You got to strip all that down and be prepared to fail.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I worry about everything. So
yeah. Well, join the club.
Yeah, I was concerned that people would think I was a pussy for the rest of my life playing Steve Dirks.
I told Jalen I wouldn't rule it out. I think I would prefer to not do it because I don't think I'd be very good at it. I don't know.
I think, yeah, fair enough. You're being critical of yourself already. In this
Always.
hypothetical world of you being an actor, you're being critical of yourself.
Yeah, isn't that a thing? Like being your own greatest critic?
Yeah, for
Only,
sure.
but only after you've done something. Otherwise, it's just hypothetical. We don't know.
Yeah,
We
but
don't
I
know
have
anything.
faith in-
We're postulating.
I mean, in every episode, I've talked shit about the makeup of the movie.
I know you always talk shit about everything. That's the problem with a bunch of creative people talking about their project. They're like, "Oh, the acting was bad. Well, Steve Dirks was so stupid. He was a pussy."
Yeah, we're very critical of ourselves for sure. But I don't know. I would give it a shot. I just wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah. Well, I think one little fun Easter egg, and it's unfortunate that during the premiere I didn't have the right copy playing up on the screen there. But while Theron robs his own store with his own gun, the soundtrack is playing some drums that you recorded over top or alongside Max's score there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome and super cool. Just to like.
This weird Inception moment of Theron robbing
All this
Theron's
Inception, but
store,
it's just
playing
another
music.
it's
Yeah,
just another
exactly.
example
It is,
of like
isn't it?
a lot of levels of creativity coming together and
Yeah.
collaboration. That
Man,
was
that-
really cool.
The guy that you had for the score,
Max.
dude, that was on point.
Max is money. I think that guy, if he doesn't pursue it, and I listened to his
new album,
his album last
Yeah.
night, and I really liked it.
I listened to it.
And
too. It is good.
You know, and what I was concerned about is that it would sound just like the Hocked score, because I don't
sounds
know
way
anything
different.
about him other than that, and just to listen to it, and it was so different.
But it was good.
It was refreshing to, because I want to use him again in the future all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there's always that little thing in your voice. You're like, I don't know. Is it going to be the same thing? And it's obvious that he is just a genius.
He's very
And
diverse.
He's like a legitimate star in the making, and I'm excited to keep working with his creativity. Hey, Rachel, are we recording?
I am.
Let's make you feel bad about it.
Again.
Anyone who likes
I think
conversation
that might be a slight blush.
and enjoys this conversation, maybe you should leave a comment to make sure Rachel doesn't do this anymore. Go ahead now. Welcome back from your comment.
So, Theron, who wins, Booger or the Bobcat?
Didn't you like my big preamble before? Wasn't that good and like
I don't-
natural?
It was good.
And it came
You did
off
a really.
well.
You
It was
both.
good.
You both did a great job.
But
I'm the only one that didn't.
to be honest with you, though, I don't think it's so bad because after talking about it, now I'm fired up about it.
Now you're
Because
jazzed.
but the concept.
Theron's just trying to help me be not in trouble.
No, it's true. It's true. Well, Rachel, one can do no wrong. And
Okay.
let's be honest about
Aw.
it.
Okay,
That's
fine,
a fact.
Fine.
Okay. But the second thing is that it kind of riles me up that someone thinks that they can take a wild animal like that.
Theron, many people
Have
think
said-
we did a poll right before the premiere, I think.
Yeah.
Premiere or trailer? At some point we
The
put a
premiere.
poll up on Facebook and just said, man v. Bobcat,
Mm-hmm.
who walks out on this in a fight, right?
Steve's dad added his own option
Of Booger.
and put
right.
Booger. So
But it wasn't a blowout by any means. It was very close, and
Yeah.
I don't remember who ended up coming out on top. And I think, some of it's a joke. Haha, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
Booger
course.
wins because
Sure,
it's
sure.
a thing in a movie, yada, yada. But it is interesting to explore, and some people don't seem to have a very good, reality or, gauge for what wildlife can do to you. And it's evident, especially in Montana, that we see all these stories come out of Yellowstone of people who go up and they put their finger up a bear's nose, and then it fucking kills them in front of a
Absolutely.
million people, and people are like, oh, why'd you kill that bear? Or yada yada. They have no real grounds in reality when it comes to wildlife, and that's why I like.
some
your
people think
perspective.
that the animals in Yellowstone are trained.
Yeah.
I've seen people be like, "Well, their animals aren't trained. It's a horrible zoo." It's it's not a fucking zoo, you idiot.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so look, my connection with these folks that got the Bobcat for you, they're dear friends of mine, and I've spent years up there learning about animals. And these are professional trainers. These are movie star animals. These are animals that are on billboards all over the world. I mean, so I've learned from those people. So I'm drawing from my experience as a Bozeman boy who's been in the woods his whole life, but not only that, from people who are training these animals and know these animals inside and out.
They have more experience with animals than I have experience on this earth.
Yeah, I mean
Oh, yeah.
the one that's up there that is the Australian, he's been attacked by a tiger. He's got the scars to prove it. I've seen his leg. It looks like he is morbidly scarred on his leg over a tiger. Now it's a bigger animal, sure, but the point is, I guess, that I was making earlier that I think is important to reiterate is that you have reaction time is against you. You don't have any tools compared to a cat. You have no tools compared to a cat. You can try to bite a cat, but you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, you can try to choke it or kick it.
choke it,
That's
kick
really
it.
all you got right there.
If you get a cat like that on its back by some miracle, which you're not going to because you're not fast enough, but if you get a cat like that on its back and you're on top of it and you have your hands around its throat, it is going to turn you into burger.
Yeah.
It is going to absolutely turn you into burger. And I think the people that are saying that they can somehow get through that and actually kill that cat, they don't understand the amount of pain that's involved. They don't understand their brain is going to be telling them to let go.
Oh yeah, it's like a fire alarm going off in your head.
It
saying,
is.
No way are we holding on to this thing
You
anymore.
have a fight or flight system. You
You
know?
absolutely do. Now there are some extraordinary circumstances of man versus beast where man came out on top. I mean, we are big primates. So the fact that we can grip things the way that we do, our size, those things, our ability to leverage and use our heads in a fight, do make us formidable adversaries in some cases. There was just a fairly recent, where a guy killed a mountain lion, the one that attacked him on his bike, But that's an extraordinary circumstance. That's a young cat, and that cat is obviously equipped very well to kill a human being, and they have. I would call that a fluke, and I would say that, if you actually listen to that guy's story and what he had to overcome mentally in order to do that, I would suggest that there are very few people on the planet that can do what that guy did. I think it actually the cat is far too well equipped, but I also think it comes down to, like, you got to think about. I'm trying to. You guys have seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I haven't got that one.
It's good.
See, it's pathetic how many movies I've missed.
Yeah, it's good.
But
anyway, it's a story about a soldier that basically he's a conscious objector.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes onto this battlefield and basically takes a bunch of wounded soldiers back to safety. And I think that a lot of the people that are answering the question, yes, I can take on this cat, also think that they're the type of people that can go through what that guy went through. The fact is he's a hero, and there's movies and books written about him because he is one in I don't know how many million.
He's so outside of the bell curve.
He is so outside of the bell curve. I mean, that guy, I don't think I could do it.
There's always an exception to prove the rule, Yeah,
like,
there's always going to be the one thing that's like, okay, well, yeah, that happened, but it's just to prove the rule, That's like a thing.
Yeah, I think if you took a healthy adult male or adult female and a healthy adult bobcat, and you just kind of picked the average of the two, it's like you said, Steve, that cat, everything about it is riding the razor's edge of survival.
He's in tune.
And you show up with a belly full of Mickey D's and you think that you're going to take that on.
Yeah.
You're going to get absolutely shredded. I mean,
bad.
I don't know. I think that people that have some level of confidence that they can take out on even a 25-pound or 30-pound cat like that, I just don't think they're being at all realistic.
And like you said, I mean, most people have been bit by a cat, or they've been scratched by a cat,
like a house cat.
Mm-hmm.
Or just nipped by a dog or whatever. And it does. Like, that thing is completely domesticated. It's been genetically modified to not kill you.
Yep.
And live in your home, and whereas maybe that's their starting point, and it's a bad place to start. Whereas you have been bit by a badger.
I have, and I can say that it bit me on the inside of my thigh, and kind of right by my groin. The moment that I stood up, I reacted to it immediately. My first reaction was not, I'm going to fuck this badger up. My first reaction was, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Like, this is absolutely awful. I stood up. I was nauseous. My fingers were tingly. I mean, I was trying not to pass out, and that was one bite. And honestly, it was a relatively benign bite for what that badger was capable of. Mm-hmm. It broke my jeans. It broke the skin. The canines sunk, I would say, probably halfway in.
That thing could have been a vice attached to your leg. There'd be nothing you could do about it.
So what they do when they really want to get after it is they latch on and they shake their head. Mm-hmm. And when they latch on
like
and they shake
bull.
exactly. And they absolutely tear the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And if it latches on like that and it's not going to let go and it's shaking its head, I dare you to try to get that out, to get that badger to let go.
And like you're saying too, add 4 different sets of retractable claws that could be attaching itself.
Yep.
That's 5 points of contact that are on your doughy little body.
Yep. Times 4.
Yep. And like I said last time, it can run up your front side and down your back side before you even realize that the cat's on you. And here's another good analogy, I think. police use German Shepherds.
Mhm.
And, German Shepherd's a big dog. They're highly trained. Go watch a police video of what happens when a German Shepherd latches on to a bad guy. Here's the thing. A bobcat is going to fuck a German Shepherd up. There are house cats that run off dogs like that.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of us have seen that, because you've got the claws and the eyes, and they're just they'll latch on. And they're way more agile than a big dog.
Mm.
There's no way that a German Shepherd could take a bobcat.
Yeah, and then
the German Shepherds are out there fucking up bad guys.
Right, that's a good way to base reality
yeah.
and give somebody an actual center to focus on, because that makes a lot of sense
point.
to anybody. I do not want to fight a German or a police dog. I'm not fucking picking a fight with that dog.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All these big tough criminals, they run away from that dog and they scream like little girls when they get latched onto.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people out there that are saying there's basically people out there that are saying, I can take a German Shepherd, I can take a police dog. Well, I want to see it.
Yeah,
because that's not me.
We'll set it up. We'll set that. We'll write that into the.
Just call Live PD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We'll write that into the next movie and
Live
see
PD's
who
in
shows
Missoula,
up
man.
to our casting call.
Yeah.
So that's my take. I want to see it.
I love your take.
Yeah. Steve and
Yeah.
I are in agreement. We don't think that a person could take a bobcat.
I think people get caught up in size.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And-
That's a
and
big
s-
argument.
Easily.
And size doesn't matter, folks. We figured that out by now. It's the motion of the ocean, and the bobcat has got far better motion than you.
He's got the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we've got for you.
Rachel, did we record that though?
We
Did we
did.
get it? Do we need to do it a third
No,
time?
we got it.
You know what I'm disappointed about is we missed my really good dick joke.
Steven made a joke about
No, I don't want
Theron's
people.
penis.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fine. It's gone.
The three of us will
We got
always
it.
have that.
We always have the
Theron's
dick.
dick.
Thanks for talking Hocked.
Oh, thanks for having me. And I am going to say it again because it didn't get caught last time. Even though Rachel can do no wrong, she didn't press the record button. I love you guys.
Love you. That's it for this week. Tune in next week to hear about how Kevin Moriarty transformed his role as Detective Jeff Kelly into one of the most intimidating characters in the film. Keep up to date on all the Hocked things that we're doing and where we're doing them by following us on all the major socials at Hocked the Movie.